Hi guys, welcome to my channel Beautifully Broken. My name's Lolly and welcome to my bedroom. I am currently in the bed with my foot propped up because I have broken my ankle and I tore a tendon loose. So the tendon took some of the bone with it. So I go tomorrow to find out if I have surgery or not. So I haven't been on, but I did want to go ahead before possible surgery and hospitaling and all that good stuff, go over the Summer Wells case with you. I in my last video said introductions towards me and with Summer Wells a little bit. So I wanted to come back to you guys this time and just tell you a little bit about Summer Wells, her life, and some of the people that are involved in this case. So Summer Wells is Summer Moon Utah Wells, and she disappeared June 15th of 2020. That is 577 days ago that she's been gone. That's way too long for this little girl to be gone. She lives in Rogersville, Tennessee at 105 Ben Hill Road. That's in eastern Tennessee. Her dad is Don Wells. Her mom is Candace Bly Wells. Mom has two, I believe, don't get me wrong on this, don't hold me to this one, but I believe it's two older children and they were taken away. Dad, Don, has two older kids. And when they were very young, he tried to sell them for drugs. Selling his children in exchange for drugs. Not cool. But they were eventually taken away from him. He's got very little contact with them, I believe. Summer had three brothers. Josie, Wyatt, and Waylon. That is the last time I'll mention the boys' names. Josie's 12, Wyatt's 11, Waylon's 9. That's the last time the names will be mentioned. It will be the boys, her brothers, something like that. But I do not want to put those names back out anymore. On, I believe it was June 17th, those boys were taken by the Department of Foster Care Services or something. In Texas, we call it CPS. Child Protective Services. So they took them and they are now in a foster care program. Living on the property with Summer and her family was her grandmother, Candace Harrer. And most everybody on YouTube calls her Grandis because the mother's name was Candace. Grandma's name is Candace. The mom, Candace, has a daughter she named Candace. So it gets a little confusing when you start talking about everybody. But Grandis lives on the property, or did live in the property, in a camper that she had there by the house. There was a friend of theirs. His name is Hunter, and from now on he'll be called H. H was a 15-year-old boy. And the day Summer went missing, the mom had called and talked to H to see if he wanted to go fishing with them. And I'll get into that story a little later. So he plays kind of a big part in this a little bit. His mother is Allie, Candace, and Allie used to be good friends. H's dad is Andrew Hilt. He's a wild card. So I don't pay him a lot of attention. Don't listen to too much. He lives up in New York, I believe it is, and not involved in the case too much. H has a sister. Her name is True. And then we're going to go to... Sorry, I got all my notes here. Way too many people here. I want to go ahead and tell you about Fred Hill, He's a neighbor to Dawn and Candace. Robin is a lady from their church, and Summer just had a strong attachment to that lady. And there's videos I've seen where Robin will be singing in church up front, and Summer just walks up there and she picks her up and keeps on singing. So they were very close. David Dobbs is a church member, and he becomes part of this story later down the line. We have several, so I can't even begin to know the number yet because I think we're still learning that numbers, but there are registered sex offenders. We will call these RSOs. That live in that neighborhood close to where Candace and Dawn lived with their children. So you'll hear maybe the name Frank Light, Sherfy Sr., Sherfy Jr. You'll hear about just previously within the last couple of weeks, Brandon Lawson. He just got sentenced for aggravated assault and attempted aggravated assault on minor children, one of which was his adopted daughter. He got I think it was a 20-year sentence or 30-year sentence, something along that lines. He got all but 1 year of that reduced. So the man will spend 1 year in jail and then be on probation. You'll have to register as an offender. But 1 year, just 1 year. The judge just deemed it fit for the case that what he did to these two poor children and their babies still because they're young, and one even lived in his house with him that he adopted as his own child. And those girls only have 1 year to breathe before they run into him again, or maybe see him somewhere along the way, or I don't know. Sad. This whole story has become so sad, so confusing, so very frustrating, and some of it's just downright disgusting. So you've got them, Ronnie Lawson. I just told you about Brandon Lawson. Well, Ronnie Lawson is the sheriff of Hawkins County there where Summer lives. His son is Brandon Lawson. His son just got the 20-year reduction in his sentence, and he only has to stay in jail 1 year. They won't send him to prison. They'll keep him in the county jail. You know, Daddy's got to be able to keep a check on him, I guess. I don't know. It's just all wrong, no matter how you look at that. Tim Mullins will be something you'll hear about. He's became the Wells social media manager. He also got a hold of the phone Don Wells had when he went into jail recently and downloaded that device. You know, he did something he shouldn't have done. Law enforcement should have been the first person to have that phone, because they took the Wells phones and I guess they got new ones. So that's another one you're going to hear about. I want to go now and just kind of go over the day Summer come up missing. We have narrowed everything down from the mom story. We've got some confirmations, some iffy. So we're going to go through that real quick. At 7:30 that morning, the dad, Don, gets up. He leaves for work at 7:30. According to his story, Summer and her mom were still asleep. At 8 o'clock, The mom says they left the house to take grandma to the ER. So Grandis had to go to the ER. The boys had kicked her foot and leg. I don't know exactly what that story was, but somehow they messed up her foot and her leg. So she had to go to the ER that day. At 10:30, Candace went and picked up H to go fishing. Of course, there was no fishing poles or anything like that, so that's a fishy story to me. At 10:30 to 11ish, they supposedly went and picked up Grandis from the ER. From there, they went to the smoke shop to get some cigarettes. They went over to the hippie house to get some vapes. And I believe some of those vapes were CBD vapes. So at 12:20, they went to the Warriors Park to the horse pond. Swimming is what Summer did. There is a TikTok video made by Candace Bly that shows her swimming that day. H is there. It shows him. And he gets into the water for a little bit. And that's kind of about the end of the story on the TikTok video. It's really sad to watch. I watched it again this morning, and it just made me so sad. She was so alive and so happy. According to H, he drank twisted tea that Candace had bought him, and he vaped with her. So it sounds to me like they were getting a little wasted and off of twisted tea and CBD vapes. At 1:30, now, mind you, let's go back. The trip to the Warriors Park to the horse pond. There's no video, no sound or anything from Grandis. So, Candace said her mom was there. We're not sure, because there's no recordings of her at all. So at 1:30, they go and pick up Grandis's prescription that had got called in at Walgreens. I've heard there is video surveillance there at Walgreens that shows when they went in or drove by through the drive-thru or something, but we believe that Summer was seen at that part. From there, they went to Sonic and got drinks. They went to the Priceless, a grocery store, and got some milk and groceries. Per Candace, they were only in that store for about 5 minutes. H and Summer stayed in the truck. And he said they watched TikTok videos while they were there. They were gone. At 2:30, 2 to 2:30ish, they're dropping off H at his house. His mom says she walked out to the truck and wanted to see Summer, but Summer was asleep at that time, and Candace did not want to wake her up. So Allie didn't get to see her or hug her or anything, but she did say she saw her sitting in the back and she was asleep. At 3:20, there's a video that was time-stamped. The video shows Summer. Now, this is in June, keep in mind. In a velour type jogging suit. Had the pants, the little jacket that zipped up. It was velour. That is more of a fall, late fall, early part of winter outfit. But maybe she got cold after swimming and got in the truck with the wet bathing suit, so she might have needed that on her. But according to Mom, they kept the windows down. They didn't run no air conditioner. And this video shows 2 gallons of milk sitting to the right of that baby. That baby's head is leaned across there, and she's asleep. You could hear Mom ask Grandis, I believe, that was taking the video, was her hand still above her head? And she said no. Grandis said no. And that is the end of the video. It was uploaded. There's also a picture taken of Summer in that same position. But the picture was not taken through the window of the truck. We believe it was taken off of the video, or vice versa. But it basically shows this baby laying there. And it's just heartbreaking to see it, because that is the last known picture of Summer. That was taken about 20 minutes away from her house, approximately. According to Mom, they pull up. The boys go help them carry in groceries, but they only got milk and bread, mind you. But boys had to help them carry in groceries. Grandis went to her camper, and according to the story, the very first story that ever came out, explanation of time, Summer and her mom walked to Grandis's house, her little camper, and helped her plant flowers. Then when they're through, Summer wanted to go home, so she runs to the house. Candace walks her over there, and we're talking 20 feet away. So I don't know why Mom would have to walk her to the door, because this is a little girl growing up in the woods. I'm talking, she's a country girl, barefooted, running that mountain up and down, playing outside all the time. Well, why would Mom make it to where she's got to walk her that short distance? She opened the door, stuck her head in, and told the boys, your sister's coming home to play. Keep an eye on her. So Summer is in the house. Mom supposedly goes back to Grandis's to help her with her knee brace. And then she goes home. According to her, that's only 2-minute time. 2 minutes. 2 minutes of time. To walk back to Grandma's house, adjust and fix her knee brace, which had just been done at the hospital, so I'm not understanding why it needed to be redone. But she got it rebraced, all fixed up. She walks back to the house. She asked the boys, where's Summer? They said she went downstairs to play. So Mom hollers at her. She didn't answer. Hollers at her a couple more times, didn't answer. So Mom goes down there, and there's no Summer. Summer was gone. Now, over time, that timeline story was being told, but it didn't make sense to anybody. And it kind of got tweaked a little here and there. So you've got Candace, the mom, possibly doing some laundry. Grandma came out not too long ago, a couple months back, and finally did an interview. And according to her, she took a nap. And when she woke up, Summer was gone. Let's see. Candace said she drove around and looked for Summer. She called out her name. Her and the boys started looking around. And then she calls Don and tells him. According to Don, the dad, he says to call 911. The first 911 call, because Mom supposedly called and Dad called, at 6:26 p.m. is when Dad made the first phone call. if you go back to our timeline, at 3:20, they're 20 minutes away from home. So they're going to get home a little before 4 o'clock. So from 4 o'clock to 6:26, when they found out she's gone and she's not here in the house, that's a good time span. But according to Mom, you've got her going over, letting Summer in the house, going to Grandma's for 2 minutes, walking back and finding out her daughter's gone. That is a huge time lapse. So you can't help but wonder what happened during that time. What happened? What are they covering up? What are they trying to hide? Because obviously there's something sketchy going on. There's interviews, and you can pull them up on YouTube. Just type in Dawn Wells interviews, Candace interviews. The Interview Room did a great interview with H. Lots of information came out about what all had happened and everything. So if you get a chance, go listen to the Interview Room with Chris McDonough. There's a good video with H. He also comes to the house of Candace and Dawn's. He interviews Candace. She walks him through all the places there and does her timeline again. Still doesn't match. Now, when I was telling you people involved in this video, in this case, on this video, there's one part that I left out, and I did it intentionally because I want to talk to you on just this subject. Across the street from the Wells is a neighbor. It is, you pull out of their driveway, you turn right, you go down a little bit, the road starts to curve, and there's their driveway. They're on this hill, and Dawn and Candace are on this hill. So, you can't see their houses that well. But Jody Sue Brown, a.k.a. JSB, a.k.a. Jody Loaf, a.k.a. Jody Stew, a.k.a. Jody Soup, and a.k.a. Mayor, and a.k.a. Just Loaf. Jody Sue Brown and Andy Bernard were together for 26 years. After Summer comes up missing, Andy leaves. Jody's a scorned woman. That's all you can say about it. She turned onto YouTube downright nasty and ugly. She became very vindictive when it came to Andy. She calls him her monster. She will call him Voldemort, but she does not ever say his name. According to her, he beat her. Life was bad. It was rough. She was held hostage there, basically. She calls it living in a box. But yet, he bought her a new car. He went to work, and every day she had a chance to get out of there. She didn't take that chance. They have 2 children. One, I believe, is 19 now. His name is Damien. And then their daughter, we call her Rue, sister. Mom now calls her little children, or little people, or so. Mom is very vindictive when it comes to her children being mentioned, but yet Mom mentions these kids all the time. She will talk about them. She's even had them on her live videos. She had some Facebook videos out. She has had them on camera, had them talk to people, other creators. It's just been crazy. The involvement that mom has had her kids in. Look, I don't like that. I need to work on some neck exercises there. But Jody Sue has her own channel, Jody Sue Brown. I was subscribed. I would go in and listen to her. Now, she had thyroid cancer in her throat area here. I believe they had to remove it. Not sure all the details on that yet, but her speech pattern changed. Her looks have changed over time. She's had a rough go with that. I totally get that. I totally understand that. But that was a couple years ago, and she's not going to her treatments. She has skipped her treatments. Different reasons I've heard. I don't know. I unsubscribed from her. I no longer listen to her unless it's streamed on someone else's channel. I will not give her a view. She has turned out to be the most hateful creator I've ever heard. I am not trying right now to convince you not to listen to her. You go make your own judgments. But I'm telling you my feelings. I don't trust her for nothing. I don't want to really hear anything she has to say. We listen just so that if she slips up and says something, we might catch it. But most of the time, it is lies. She projects someone else's life, some event that happened to them, onto herself. And, she just tries to make up stuff. She tries to lie. We've already had other creators come out that proved that she lied. She talks bad about the Wells children that was right across from her, lived in her neighborhood. But yet she'll turn around and say, oh, those boys were precious. They were just, I would do anything for them. And it's like, okay, lady, what do you do? And what here's the truth and what's not? Sorry about the blue glare in my glasses. I'm trying to move. But I can't read all this stuff without my glasses on. So, back to Jody Sue. I really don't want nothing to do with her. She had a video where she talked about hearing a scream at 4 something that day. The day Summer come up missing. In her story, they were inside the house. Different stories along the way. The door was shut. The door was open. Windows were down. Windows were up. I don't know. But they were inside the house and supposedly heard this horrific scream. Her son says it was very animalistic. Her daughter says she thinks it was the children playing across over on the other hill. Jody Sue, the mom, says it was neither of those. I heard it myself. It was a shape. She could see a shape when she heard that scream. She could see a color. She even has a video out describing. So, not sure about the scream. Did it take place? Did it not take place? This lady also says that day she shows where she had been texting her live-in baby daddy at the time. And he was going to be running a little late, and she was going to go ahead and go down the hill and meet him down there. And he was picking her up, and they were supposed to go buy groceries. And she was going to go mess with her flowers. And this is where I really I couldn't do it no more with her, because she Here, I'm going to take these off. That's driving me crazy. She says she instantly knew. She takes off or throws her purse down. One time she's taking off her shoes, the other time she's wearing them in the creek. So we don't know about that part. But she takes off, she gets in the creek and starts walking and looking for Summer. So my question is, how did she know Summer was gone? Because at that time, she saw the boys over at the other side of the creek, but she didn't talk to them. She just knew. That's the kind of person she is. She just knows things. And that's how she presents herself. And so with that, I was done. I struggled through the way. There's some part missing, And after all this time, I'm done with her. Her timeline, her things she comes up with. Now the other night she came up with a whole new story to add into it. And it's just crazy. I'm not going to take time to deal with her too much. Because you can look at it one of two ways. Either the things she's telling us are real and they're very important in this story, or she wants to be an important part of the story, so she's making up things to say, things that happen, different events, that kind of stuff. So, what do you do? And through the way she gets pissed off at creators, well, then she starts hating on them on her videos, and it's like, there's so much time spent on other creators that have rebutted everything she said. And there's videos to back it up. But yet she keeps going. Had I told a lie like that and then somebody come back with a video showing me, I would have apologized. I would have felt so bad because I had sat here and said, this is true. I've never done this, never done that, never done that. And here actually I have, because they got proof. It's me. But no, not her. She just keeps going. So I get so flustered with it. She has made this case into something it shouldn't be. We're all here because we care about this little girl. According to her, creators that have been out there for a while, she calls them tragedy pimps, that they're liars, they don't know anything, blah, 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 blah. She thinks she's the only one that knows anything, that can do anything, can say anything. It's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And like I said, I really don't want no part in her. So, according to this Summerwell story, her name, her husband Andy, and their 2 children have become a part of the story. I will avoid that as much as possible. And the only way I will be mentioning her name or bringing her up or anything like that is because it's something big that happened. So, but I want y'all to know about her. I want y'all to know that she is a big part of this story. We have Gavel Geeks. Miss Jenny has a database that she has put together with all creators, stuff that they put out, videos and interviews and, anything that they've got going. She has it all cataloged. Bless her heart, she is a godsend to this creators community because she has everything lined out. If you need to know, you ask her, she can go pull it up, and it's not like you're having to go research all over again. She is doing that for us, and it's just amazing. I am so impressed with that. So you can try going to Gavel Geeks and looking up and seeing what she has. She also does trials. She loves the trials, so, like the Murdaugh case and different ones, she records them, they play them, they talk about them. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check her out. We have Krama Mama. I believe it's Mama Sassy now. So you may have to try Krama Mama first, or Mama Sassy may have everything there. But she's the one I heard that I started learning from. And I've recently gone back to the very beginning of her videos and just listened to everything. And I've really enjoyed those two as a combination working together in putting out videos, and you can guarantee it's all 100%. They will check, they will research, they're good at what they're doing. So definitely check those two out. We've got Fizzle, which is Penny, and Miss Penny has started out with being friends with Jody Sue, trying to help her escape her DV situation. And she got her away, got her into a hotel, got, all this stuff that her and Scott H were working on to get her fixed up and get her in a better position, because they believed in her, they trusted in her. But along the way, her true self started coming out, and they just kind of pushed that away. That is no longer happening. No friendship there, no lost blood, no lost sleep over that. So anyways, you check them out, both of them. They've got great content, lots of Summer Wells. Fizzle has every message in Discord, every text, all this stuff she still has. She still puts out, she creates a little short post or something just to remind us the story behind this situation, that situation, and what all happened. So definitely check them out. Tiffany Marie is another one. She was big friends with Jody Sue for a long time. She was really close to her. Her heart went out to Jody Sue. You can just tell. She wanted to be there, somebody on her side. She wanted to help her. She wanted to get her story out. She really was doing good for Jody Sue. And then we have Benny Keys. Loving on Benny Keys. Love me some Benny Keys. He is fun. He's hilarious. He reminds me so much of my son that passed away. It is just too much. But I listen to him. He's very passionate about Summer Wells. He even went and spent some time with the Wells not long after Summer was missing. These creators that I've mentioned are just a few that I follow. I also follow Dazed, and there's tons. Sage Sleuth, and there's tons of them out there. You put Summer Wells and it'll take you. So go check out these creators, okay? I'm not going to put out their videos. I just want to talk. I just want to get word out. I want y'all to know what's happening with this case. I want y'all to think about it. I want y'all to feel whatever it is you're going to feel over Summer and her being gone. 577 days. That is a long time for somebody to not be home. Very long. I couldn't imagine. I lost my son, but I knew where his body was. I was able to bury my child. Wasn't easy. Didn't make things any easier. But the not knowing, on top of I've lost my child, because they have lost her. Right now, the place where they're at, they have lost their daughter. So that broken heart inside of me feels for them. We have learned over the time that Dawn and Candace are not perfect parents. They have a drug problem. They have a drinking problem. Dawn has been on videos with people before where he's high as a kite. You can hear her in the background wailing and moaning and cussing, and their house had to be fixed up and done a lot of stuff too, according to the rules to get their children back. They're not perfect parents by any means. but I still hurt for them because I'm a mom who lost a child. Knowing that you don't have that child with you, it hurts my heart for them. I don't know if they're guilty. I don't know if they know. I don't know. There's a lot I can't figure out. It's just one day I'm thinking this and this and this happened. The next day I'm thinking, well, maybe it could be, just last week I was like, oh my God, I hadn't even thought about this situation. So here's a whole nother scenario. But nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure. The neighbor is what we'll call Jody Sue. The neighbor, I think, has played a big, huge role in helping Dawn and Candace to get a story on the day's events and get that story down. I think she has rehearsed it with them. I heard at one time Candace wanted her to change the timeline because people were questioning it too much. You hear the dad on WHL, something like that, the TV station there, and he says, the neighbor said this happened about this time. The neighbor said she heard this. The neighbor, in his story, he can't say it's his story, it's his fact. All he can say is the neighbor. So that's a big clue that she's projecting herself into this case. What more she knows, I don't know. She did have one night where the neighbor lost control. Andy, the real Andy B, came up on somebody else's panel, and I think I can't remember who it was, but tons of people were tuned in. It was the first time we had heard from him. All we've heard about about Andy was bad stuff, domestic violence, the hitting, the angry words, the pushing and shoving, and all the bad. So bad that the neighbor had to get DV glasses. What the heck? Anyways, Andy had left the neighbor. He had already started a new relationship not long after he had left. And they're very happy together. Matter of fact, they recently just got married. So kudos to them. Happy trails. Best wishes. But this creator that was talking to Andy, there was two of them on there, and they were just asking him questions. And I was just sitting here listening because I'm like, he's fixing to tear her up. But he never does. He was very respectful. She was the mother of his children. But yet, she had a PO put out on him, a protective order where he couldn't come around, couldn't talk to him, nothing like that. That was put out. And Andy did tell him, yes, I have hit her a couple of times. He, being honest, total respect for that. So while he's on there, they would ask questions and he would say, I'm afraid I can't answer that for you right now. Because he would have had to use Jody's name. He would have had to use her in his situation or whatever, and he was not going to go there. So, basically he said, yes, I have weed. I have sold weed. That was his thing. Just with him being on on YouTube, on this channel with these people and answering questions where he's been very respectful towards her. He did not say anything negative. He did say he did not think his children would lie to him about the scream. He did believe that they heard something. He said he wanted to see his daughter. He missed them. That's it. She lost her shit. I telling you, that woman went off the rails. She started saying, "Will somebody go over there and ask him why he was selling drugs to the children across the road?" She's implying that he was selling to the Wells boys. She even made the statement of, ask him about selling to Candace sedatives to sedate the girls, plural. So that makes you wonder. To sedate them so they can be touched and other things. She stated that as a fact. She stated that as if she knew. And at that point, people started waking up. At that point, even Tiffany Marie, who was her number one ally, she started asking questions. Jody couldn't answer them. Jody couldn't give her anything that would even make sense. And if this neighbor knew drugs were being sold for sedation purposes, so that those children, girls, boys, whoever, could be touched, and she did not call 911, to me, she is just as guilty as the parents or whoever it was that took that child. Because she could have prevented something. But she didn't. And those were her words. She's now saying that it was just weed. Doesn't matter. You said those words. You said there was a reason behind it. You did nothing about it. And you've held on to that just to use as ammo against a man who left you. I got no use for people like that. If a child doesn't come first, and if you can't protect a child, you don't need your own. You don't need anybody else's. If you know about something that bad that's happening to children, and I don't care if they're teenagers, I don't care if they're young adults, if you know that something wrong like that is happening, you need to be the one to speak up and say something. Go take care of that. Make sure those children are protected. Don't choose to sit there and keep that and hide it and hold on to it for a time when you're going to need some ammo. And that told me a lot about her and who she is. And I just I'm done with her. So there will be times where she possibly has to be mentioned. I have taken everything she said about the scream. She's talked about a red truck. She talked about footprints. She's talked about the dogs. All of this stuff. I have taken it completely out of my papers. Others use it. Others still talk about it. I just don't want to. I don't want to concentrate on that. So that's kind of where we're at today. I'll get back again with you pretty soon. Hopefully praying really hard. Keep me in your prayers that I don't have to have surgery. I am leaving in 6.5 weeks. My kids and I, grandbabies, we're going to Colorado for Christmas. And I'm getting out there playing in the snow with those grandbabies. Let me tell you, I may be having this boot on, but that time I may have full cast on. But I'm getting out there, and we're playing and having fun. So I don't need surgery on top of all that other. But if you know of anyone that has lost a child, lost someone really close to them, and having a hard time, have them reach out to me. I just talked with a mom who, across the street, her son, they were sitting there watching Monday Night Football. All of them, the whole family. He went to go take a shower. His stepdad says he's been in there a little long. He went and checked. He had hung himself in the shower. So we we knew we were neighbors. We didn't know each other very well. Our kids were different ages, so we didn't have that to pull us together. But through this, we're kind of holding each other up. We're talking back and forth, and talking to her the other day, we decided we need to just have one night a month at least, and just us go sit down, eat dinner, talk. And I come to realize that, I don't have a whole lot to talk to, because about the bad part that I deal with, the sorrow, the anger, the frustration, the depression, because those are so real. Those are so part of who I am. And we all need somebody. We all do. After I broke my leg, I have to keep it propped up for 2 weeks. And I'm thinking, okay, 2 weeks, that's nothing. Let me tell you, in order for that tendon to heal, I cannot be on my foot very much. I have a boot on. I have crutches. Crutches don't do well with me like they did when I was a teenager. Oh my gosh. I'm glad nobody had videoed that episode. But I had sat down in my living room and got in the recliner, propped my foot up, and I was sitting there. Well, a little bit later, I had to go to the bathroom. I have a very long hallway. Very long, far ways from the bathroom. I came out of the bathroom and I looked at my door to my bedroom, and I was like, I'm going to get on my bed, and there's a bathroom right there in my room. And so I have hardly been in the other end of my house. And my son, daughter-in-law, my daughter, they've brought me some food. So I have something to eat every once in a while, because I can't stand up and cook that long. And then some sweet people from church brought me some stuff. So I've been just sitting here, and at first it was very depressing. Very depressing. Just knowing that Austin, had he not passed away, he would be here. He would be the one to take care of me. He would have came and checked on me. Anytime I was ever sick, I had the flu or a cold or whatever, he would always come back here. If I was asleep, he'd wake me up just to make sure I was okay. He would cook, he would bring me food, whatever I needed, he helped me. There's times where he wouldn't, because he was so high as a kite, but 90% of the time, if he knew I was sick, then he would make sure that he spent some time taking care of me. So just knowing that he's not here, I really got to do this on my own, kind of got me. And then I thought, well, I'm going to do do a video, not a lot. I keep saying live, but do a video. I was way too upset. Sorry, I keep messing with my face, but I'm trying to grow this hair out. Little pieces of hair keep flying around and they tickle. But depression's real. It is very real. I find myself getting on YouTube way too much. I start pulling up all these creators, listening to them. Sometimes I'll lay down to go to bed and I'll just turn off the lights, turn off the TV. But yet I got YouTube playing and I'm laying there listening to it as I'm going to sleep. I get up the next morning, check to see if anything happened. I want to find this little girl. I want this little girl to be found so bad that I've kind of inserted myself in my mind into a place where I got to be on top of everything. I can't miss nothing. So in a funny way, it's kind of helped me going, because I get up and I get on my phone and I start looking and I get involved through that. So at least it's a little something, but I hope somebody new watches these. I hope somebody will start watching, start listening, start following, that hasn't heard about summer. And they can talk about summer, and they can reach out to their friends or whatever. Hey, I heard, a YouTube video the other day where they're talking about this little girl, you know, and maybe that just puts those extra people out there. So help spread the word. Help like, share, hit that like button. Let's get this channel up and going. I'm excited about it, but I do struggle. So if you don't hear from me for a while, send a prayer my way, because I'm probably having a very depressed day. Have those pretty often. And I guess I'll have them the rest of my life. I'm just kind of starting to get to a point now to where I can accept it. So I thank you all for checking in, listening to this. If you do, I don't know, I'm ready to grow this channel and get going and I really want to make it a success. I really want to help someone. I know people are out there and they just can't. You can't talk to your kids. You can't talk to family members, you know, especially because you don't want to be judged. And they're going to be the ones that judge you the most. Your family does. Oh, Lordy. But I love my family. I started on Facebook in November every year. I try to do it. I have missed the last 2 years because there hadn't been a whole lot I've been thankful for. But I did put on my Facebook November 1st what I was thankful for. I had days where I felt like I couldn't stop crying. I've had days where I didn't want to get out of bed. I had days where I didn't know that I was any good to anyone. I just was here, just existed. I felt like I was taking up oxygen for somebody else that needed it. I don't know. I've just had a really rough time lately. But I come to realize I'm lucky. I'm very lucky. God's blessed me. God's pulled me through. I am not spending months and months in bed anymore where I did it first. My crying sessions are a little further apart. They still happen, but they're further apart. And they're not as hard on my body. It's a good, healthy cry now. It's not a panic, freak out, so new that you remember every little single thing, but yet you can't remember other things. And fear that gripped me. You know, that's slowly going away. My life is nowhere close to being what I wanted it to be as I was growing up when I was a little girl. All these plans you have for yourself. You're in school, you know what you want to do. Well, I wanted to be a hairdresser. I did hair for 20 years, over 20 years. But when my kids were little and they were playing baseball and football and basketball and soccer and gymnastics and piano lessons, and you know, here's my husband that was working off on a boat for a month at a time. I was a single mom at those times. And everybody wanted a haircut after they got off work or on the weekends. Well, that was the time I had with my kids. So I quit. I always dreamed of just doing hair the whole time. And I always was going to be a mom. I was always going to be a wife. I was always going to cook and take care of my kids for the rest of their life. They were always going to come to me. You know, my oldest one, his brother and sister always called him the golden child. I had him. It was just me and him. We bonded. We're very close. He has a family. He has a wife. He has 2 kids. Lots of chickens. 2 goats, 4 dogs. He has someone else that he can lean on. He has somebody else that he needs. And it's not mama. That's always a hard thing to accept. But the other night he was pulled up here so I could see the girls in their little Halloween outfits. So I hobbled outside to go look at them and stuff. And he was sitting in the car and he was having a rough day. I said, go home. I said, Chelsea, make sure you rub him right here. And I started rubbing him and his eyes started drooping. And he was like, get away, get away, get away. So that baby's still in there. My daughter, she still needs me from time to time. And my dog over here, she needs me every day. And obviously God has a purpose for me because I'm still here. So if you're having a bad day, if you're barely holding on, just squeeze a little tighter. But find that person. Always try to find someone. It doesn't have to be a family. It doesn't have to be a friend. It doesn't have to be anybody you know. Call me. Send me a message. Whatever. We'll talk. I'll tell you what I know, what I can do. And then I'm not going to talk to you as if you have to do what I'm saying. Because everybody's different. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody is so different in their grief. And it's okay. That's the big part. It's okay. A friend of mine from school just lost her son. Everybody's telling her, do this, do that, make sure you don't forget to do this and blah, 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 blah. And my comment was, I know there are no words. So the only thing I can say is just breathe. Just breathe. And that's the most important things when we have days where everything gets really rough in our life. So if I have advice for you today, I would say just breathe. Take a deep breath and just breathe. Because sometimes those breaths are about all we have left in us. And that's okay.